Yeah, so I'm Coy or Colin Thor. I used to be the assistant coach for Mouse Sports in 2021, and now I'm the head coach for Davenport University. And I also am um, one of the Gucci Gaming Academy coaches, the one responsible for North America.
Make sure to check out our partner gamerpay.gg.
That's awesome. Can you tell me what Gucci Gaming is and what its goal is for North America?
Yeah, so Gucci Gaming Academy is basically meant to be a program where we're finding the unknown talents in the esports ecosystem, specifically Counter Strike, and basically trying to give them both a platform and then also the skills and resources required to like put them into the next level, right? So, like your Ropses and your Bemuses in the past, those hidden talents. Our goal is to kind of like expedite that process and maybe help out where other team scouting doesn't necessarily pick up. In North America, because the ecosystem is a little different, we're still trying to necessarily like tie down what we want to do specifically to make that all happen. But it's meant to be a very individual based program. It's not like a team or anything. Um, and already we've had a lot of success and a lot of growth from the players that we have part of the program.
Awesome, awesome. Do you currently have any players from North America yet?
We have several on our radar. So none that are like, official yet or that I can say yet,
Okay,
but I do talk to them pretty frequently.
that's awesome. Is Gucci Gaming going to be like somewhat of an extension of FPL or like a private coaching academy?
So I like to think of it as like it's not the hubs, but it's like it runs in parallel to the hubs, right? So it's just another way the players they play in the hubs, we review their performances in the hubs, we look at them statistically from the hubs. But at the end of the day, it's still a lot of individual work with the coaches. It's a lot of resources, whether it's the mental health coaching or the hardware resources, or potentially stipends or something like that. And as a result, like we aim to basically kind of free up as much we make it their full-time job, more or less, to focus on Counter-Strike even if they're not in a team environment.
That's awesome. I think that's going to do great things for North America and just Counter-Strike as a whole.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to see how it all scales to NA.
Okay. How are you going to find players and like what is there like a specific criteria for them?
Yes, so I get asked this question a lot, as I'm sure you could imagine. So the player selection process, it comes down to a couple of things, right?
Mhm.
So for better or for worse, some of it's stats related, right? We analyze the performance of players, whether it's in ESEA league or other leagues, HLTV, FPL, doesn't matter. All of them are valid. And we basically just try and find those outlier players, those players that are statistically very good. Then we go through a very extensive interview process. We go through a little bit of a trial process, and then finally we look to potentially bring the player on as a Gucci Gaming Academy student. Um, so it's all very like unique to the player, and it's all very unique to the coach as well. So me and Neil, my European counterpart, and the hub admins, we all go through this like sort of like scouting and analysis process together, and then we ultimately conclude on whatever players we've sort of seen.
Okay. So you said you're looking for players from not just Face It, but ECA as well, and like every type of matchmaking.
Exactly, yeah. Because I mean, at the end of the day, now with the merger and stuff like that, it is all just one big happy family of an ecosystem. um, and so it's important because especially in North America, you have a lot of these like very talented players that are out there, that maybe don't play FPLC or something, right? Or don't play FPL. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they themselves are not going to make it into tier one day if we give them the right jump start, right?
Yeah,
And so it's important to kind of diversify where we're getting all of our information, which is why I think it's important that we don't just focus on FPL or FPLC.
that's good. Yeah. Not everyone goes for FPL and FPLC, so I think that's important that you don't just look at that.
Exactly. So like things like Mythic Diamond as well or Mythic Gold are all valuable places to sort of like start looking for this talent and potentially moving them up to different hubs and seeing how they play there, and then moving them to the Gucci Gaming Academy. But because it's still so new, it's still very individual. We don't necessarily have a lot of precedent for all of these like player moves and stuff like that. So we're still building the process, but it's very thorough at least.
That's cool. So like once you find the players that you want and like get it sorted out, will this coaching be like, will it be over generalized topics for like groups, or will it be like personalized for each player?
So as of right now, we're doing a lot of individual stuff, right? So we talk a lot with the individuals. We work with them on their individual weaknesses and their strengths and stuff like that. There are definitely group meetings. There are group sessions, but we're not quite finalized on the scheduling for everything, so that yeah, it all works out. I know with MindWorks, who runs the mental health part of our program, um, they do a mixture of group sessions and they do a mixture of individual sessions, right? And so that's sort of the general tone that we've taken to the actual coaching sessions that me and Neil give as well.
Okay. Wow. That's really impressive. Like Gucci Gaming's definitely providing a lot of things for their players that are not available for just anyone.
Yeah, I think it's important that we have like a resource out there like this for players that aren't part of like an academy team or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That might be overlooked or something. And I think that this is a really good way for them to still have some amount of opportunity and then move on to bigger and better things when the opportunity presents itself.
Okay. Where do you see Gucci Gaming like going within the future, like near and far?
Um, Definitely bigger. I know that they're definitely planning on increasing like the amount of players that we're working with, as well as like some of the goals that we have. I can't speak too much to like how it's actually expanding for obvious reasons, but I do know that it will be like we will have more players in the future for sure. Um, I think we're aiming for like 10 to 15, something like that.
Will it be 10 to 15 like per like a season or until they move on?
As of right now, there's no set timeline that we're trying to necessarily like move these players out by, if that makes sense, right? The
Hmm.
idea is that this is a short-term part of their career, right? We do want them to eventually, go out and receive an actual legitimate tier one team offer. So however long that might take, we will be working with the players basically. Um, and then from there we'll see how many players come in, how many players leave, and then we'll roughly be able to balance it out from there.
Awesome. Do you have a message for anyone aspiring to be part of Gucci Gaming Academy?
Yes, so the most important thing is making sure that you are like it comes down to playing a lot, but also making sure that when you do play, you're playing like with intention or like with an actual purpose behind it, right? So I also look at things like basic face it matchmaking stats, so like your standard free queues and stuff like that. Um, those are all things that I spend a lot of time looking at the stats for, looking for anomalies, lining them up with like my FPL charts and my FPLC charts to see where these players might end up going. And so it's really important that if you do genuinely want to take something like this serious and potentially be scouted into a program like this, that you're putting your all in like every game, like no matter what tier it is at. Because trust me, we will see you, we will notice you, and hopefully, if everything checks out, we will work with you. It doesn't matter what your background is.
That's great.
That was 5 questions with Koi. I'm Jelen. Thanks for watching.